Here's the 30-second lesson on what legends know. Never practice nunchucks in a crowded room. Never eat chole before a road trip. Always take your shirt off before you iron it. Don't take a call near a swimming pool. And don't forget, saving is not investing. Legends don't just save, they invest in mutual funds. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
This week's national interest is my open letter to Professor Muhammad Yunus in Bangladesh. Respected and dear Professor Yunus, at the very outset, I am conflicted on whether I should congratulate you or commiserate with you. Usually, one wouldn't need to qualify such a brilliant ascent to power as you have had with a caution, but the challenge of leading a large, populous and still largely poor nation in this subcontinent cannot be taken lightly. Nevertheless, congratulations first. When I had the privilege of spending a couple of days with you at a large philanthropy conference in Hubli, Dharwad in early 2016, I was awed by your sincerity, gentle manner, and a firm belief in your ability to master the odds. In fact, I also remember the great line you spoke. I asked you, why did you leave teaching economics and set up Grameen Bank or the Grameen Project? And you said when you came back to Bangladesh after the liberation, you were 31 then, you were teaching overseas, and you saw the poverty and the quality of life, the poor quality of life that people were leading. You got your epiphany. And the epiphany was, what point is economics if it will not improve the lives of the people? And then you started the Grameen Project. In the same Walk the Talk episode we recorded, you had told me the story of how Sheikh Hasina had taken away your bank, and you responded by taking your bank overseas. In fact, you said at that point that you had 18 branches in 18 cities of America, starting with Jackson Heights in the borough of Queens in New York. You refused to take the bait of probably a too clever by half response from me that her government took away your bank and you took revenge by building one overseas. You said, we are not seeking revenge, but just doing the right thing. I could see then that you were angry, hurting, and holding back. The opportunity came last August in an incredibly dramatic meltdown of the Hasina government. You were brought back from overseas to head the new administration, though you still haven't given yourself an executive or political title. You've stayed with chief advisor and probably will go with that to Davos later this month. It'll also likely be the first time the top leader of such a large country will go to Davos without a formal executive title. But things can always happen for the first time. A precedent can always be set. Can I round off this part of my letter by suggesting that Hasina took away your bank from you and you've now served revenge by taking away her government? I say this with no judgment. She was obviously deeply unpopular. The latest election was an even bigger sham than the one previous to it. In fact, almost like what the Pakistanis conjured up earlier by keeping the leading party and its leader Imran Khan out of the contest. Can I suggest meanwhile that while you may have been nursing your wounds, you weren't prepared for this dramatic turn. Unless you believe in astrology, like most politicians do, and have the services of a brilliant astrologer, certainly one better than our Mr. L.K. Advani, who failed him fully on the promise of his inevitable rise to prime ministership. Dr. Manmohan Singh, in fact, taunted Advani during the debate on the nuclear deal that he was trying to topple him since his astrologer had promised him the prime ministership. Dr. Singh also used to make another important point. He used to say that he had told Musharraf in their first meeting, look, you and I are both accidental leaders of our countries. But public office is like public trust. Once you have it, you can't have it and do nothing with it. His message to Musharraf was that we should engage seriously and resolve the chronic India-Pakistan issues now that fate has positioned us as the leaders of our countries. These conversations, Professor Yunus, were published in Dr. Singh's lifetime. Can I humbly beseech you, Professor Yunus, to apply the same test to yourself? Your situation, as in your dramatic rise, is way more like Dr. Singh's than Musharraf's. Musharraf's rise wasn't accidental or dramatic to that extent. In Pakistan, every army officer thinks he can be president from the day he gets commissioned as a lieutenant. Yours was even more fortuitous than your economist peers in India. So, here is the test. Now that you have public office, it implies public trust. Can you have it and do nothing with it? And if you would do something with it, what will it be? Restoring democracy, rebuilding and relegitimizing the institutions, and then walking away, leaving behind a grateful nation, you might say, is what you want to do. And this is an excellent list of KRAs. The question arises, how much time do you give yourself to achieve this? Do you have a finish by date or what we in our business call the deadline, which by the way, I was struggling with this evening as I was typing this letter to you. You've talked about setting up different commissions. Good idea. Just that in our countries, such commissions tend to be self-perpetuating. Nobody wants to finish the work. I noted in your recent interview to Al Jazeera that you aren't giving any finish by date. In fact, in that conversation, you even mentioned that this could take up to 4 years. Do you really have that much time? We can all see you are in excellent health and may you live a long and even more fulfilling life. Your people need you and your friends across many countries wish you a long and happy and healthy life. But continuing in power in this kind of makeshift arrangement has a short half-life. Your bigger adversary is the dominant political parties, that is Bangladesh National Party, BNP now, and the Awami League, a little bit out for the count, but still there. These are already beginning to get impatient. The Jamaat wants more time to prepare. So they might have some time, but in the course of time, I think within a year, even they will begin to get impatient. I also don't believe you want to become the subcontinent's Robert Mugabe or Mahathir Mohamad. You are way too well educated and wise to harbor such delusions. You are keeping the Islamists quiet through appeasement, but they are going to get more impatient as time passes. Plus, they have a view of the kind of republic they want now. The biggest trouble you brought yourself is in promising to usher in a new republic in Bangladesh. I had explained this in an episode of Cut the Clutter. I'm sharing a link with you if you wish to check it out. I had said that Bangladesh's constitution has also had as many iterations as Pakistan's since 1972. You are now going to write an entirely fresh constitution, deal with the Democrats and the Islamists, and also keep in mind your own philosophical views. Such miracles are not pulled off easily, especially without a constituent assembly, a parliament, or conventional politicians. Do you really think a top-down constitution will have legitimacy? And if so, for how long? Our experience, our history from Bangladesh and Pakistan suggests that the next guy will bring their own constitution. I note with concern that one ploy your administration is using to keep your population patient is the oldest in our neighborhood playbook, anti-Indianism. It's a familiar but dangerous ploy. It is tempting to play Pakistan versus India. Would it deliver anything more than the joy of trolling India, who you see as Hasina's friend? I'm not sure. In fact, I would have used the word juvenile along with joy, but I don't with deference to your years and intellect. There is very little, if anything at all, there is very little that Pakistan can bring Bangladesh except political, philosophical, and sectarian baggage. India is the only neighbor that matters to you, and Bangladesh is our most valued friend in the East. Why would you want to mess up this relationship? As a close watcher of these issues for decades, I can see India meaning no harm to Bangladesh. India gains nothing from doing any harm to Bangladesh. Nor has Bangladesh, for almost 2 decades now, meant any harm to India, though there was much mischief done in the past. Hasina reversed all of that, and India will be deaf, blind, heartless, and brainless to not appreciate and acknowledge that. It also worked well for Bangladesh as it enjoyed high growth and improvement in social indicators. That's why in 2013, I had similarly written an open letter to Narendra Modi, then Chief Minister of Gujarat, headlined, Dear Narendra Bhai, appealing to him to intervene and help Dr. Singh's government conclude our border agreement, the India-Bangladesh border agreement. He did it. Modi did it subsequently as Prime Minister. There are no outstanding issues between us. There are only shared interests and areas of mutual benefit between India and Bangladesh. If your only irritation with India is that Hasina is here, you really do not expect India to hand her over to you. That's not going to happen. Now, I know politics and the constraints and your own public opinion right now. So, even if it is tough to get off that curve, I would suggest that you avoid raising the pitch too high or making it a zero sum game in our ties. And finally, a point to you. What is your day after or retirement plan? The subcontinent's unelected rulers have an exit problem. No one has been able to go into retirement to play golf. That's for the generals, both in Pakistan and Bangladesh. Write books or resume running their businesses. What is your plan and do you have a schedule? Unless you are convinced that after you are done, you will be hailed as the new Bang Bandhu, as the original is erased from history and memory.